The 49ers did exactly what they needed to do against the Titans, but beyond the final score, there were some standout performances that could help propel this offense even further moving forward. We'll discuss the top performances worthy of 49K Player of the Week, plus the latest injury updates on today's 49K Pod.
You're listening to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. I'm your host, Steph. It is Monday, December 15th. And as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, we're back with the Monday co-host here, Weston. Weston, how you been, man? We've missed you.
We are all the way back, Steph. 10-4. No better way to come back after almost a month-long hiatus that I assure you, as you know, was not planned, right? It's just kind of the way things worked out with work and everything else. But I am super – let's just say it's a lot easier to come back after that time off when you're talking about a win. And
Right.
we're in the home stretch of the regular season here. I'm just excited. I think we're going to have I know we're going to have a great show, but we're going to have a lot of fun too. And I see you got your Christmas festivities in the background.
Hey, feeling festive, you know, it's that time of the year. I do have my 49ers stockings, so I put those up every year behind me. So, yeah, I got to find a way to work it in and bring the holiday spirit. Weston, what was the last show that you were on? Like, was it?
Well, we didn't do one after the Giants because you were here and travel.
True.
What was the week after that?
Rams. Were you on for that one?
Yeah, we did the Rams.
Okay.
And
then it was Cardinals.
We did Cardinals.
Okay, so you missed the last two. You missed the last two shows. We did
Panthers and Browns. Yeah, I missed both
Panthers
of those.
and Browns. Panthers and
Yep.
Browns.
Then we had the bye week.
Okay. So the ones Panthers one you missed, they won. I was gonna say, like, you know, maybe you being gone was like the good luck charm, and the 49ers go on this win streak.
Steph, don't put that on me. Do not put that on me.
No, because I won the Cardinals game too. So you were there for that one.
Hey, they've won 10 games. I've been here for a lot of them.
Exactly. Crazy to think, right? This team has won 10 games. And it just goes to show the resilience of this team, the parity of the NFC, of the NFL. I mean, a lot of things shook up this weekend. I mean, on one hand, on the AFC side, right? Week prior, you had Daniel Jones going down with the Achilles tear. Phillip Rivers takes over. Then you got Chiefs getting eliminated from the playoffs, playoff contention, you know, this weekend, and Patrick Mahomes tears his ACL. Like, man, there's just a lot going on. And on the other side of it, in the NFC, Micah Parsons tore his ACL as well. There's just a lot going on right now. And if there's anything that this tells us, it's just that the Super Bowl this year really feels like it could be anyone's, right? I mean, and on the NFC side of things, it's these NFC West teams that are like, you know, have the best records, right? So it'll make things interesting down the stretch, especially with the 49ers, with the two games going forward that they have, the Colts on Monday Night Football in week 16, and then the Bears Sunday Night Football the following week after that. And I don't know if there's still a chance that the week 18 game against Seattle gets flexed, or I don't know if they had set the date for that one yet, but I would not be surprised at all if that one ends up getting a primetime spot, just given all the possible implications there.
It's got potential 2019 vibes written all over it, right? Like, the final game of the regular season determines who's the 1 seed, who's the 5 seed, because I think that was the first year where only the 1 seed gets a bye week. Was 2019. I think that was the first season that they implemented that rule, and that's why so much riding on it. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We got some work to do for it to matter. It still shows TBD on the schedule, which means they're leaving this wide. Most of the games are probably going to be divisional games, right, for that week, right? So whatever has the biggest playoff impact, Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico are going to get the call to see us out for the 2025-26 season.
Always love a Chris Collinsworth, night. But yeah. So I mean, you're right. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. One game at a time. And the 49ers did what they needed to do against the Titans, and as expected, they won. But I think like there's some things we learned about this team, maybe both like good and bad, right? And I feel like it's kind of week to week, like depending on who they play, certain parts of this team shows. And I think I'm most impressed with the offense, and that will certainly be reflected, I think, when we get into our nominations. But as a whole, before we get into individual performances, Weston, what do you think about this game against the Titans, how the 49ers looked coming off their bye week?
Yeah, if I'm being real honest, a little disappointed in the defensive performance coming off of the bye week, but I get it. Like this, I mean, they're literally week to week, like scrapping this roster together, doing everything they can. And candidly, like styles make fights, right? Like that's what it comes down to. And it's a copycat league. And that's why I think people watch tape from the previous week. What can they expose? What can they go after? What adjustments are you actually making? There's a lot that goes into it, but we all know that this team struggles with mobile quarterbacks. So I think some of their performance is a little blown out of proportion just because they were facing a quarterback with a level of athleticism that they don't often see for good and for bad, right? Like obviously he extended plays, was able to buy time, do things where maybe even our weak pass rush was enough to get home, right? Or disrupt the play with certainly a Phillip Rivers behind center next week. It's going to look a little bit differently. But then I think they also got bailed out by the inexperience of that same athletic quarterback where a couple throws were missed. But I think offensively they looked great against a team that I would not classify the Titans I would classify them as a very poor offensive team right now.
Yes.
I wouldn't say the same about their defense, especially that defensive line. There's names that we talked about all offseason and coming to the trade deadline that we're like, we'll take them. Let's bring him back, so there's people there to be coveted. But hey, a win, right? A win when, let's be really honest, the bye week, which was all about recovery, and a really big stretch of games beyond it, this game could have definitely been a trap game for them. Like could have been, and I think they avoided that.
I mean, hey, I look at any, we as fans, like we circle games as that's an easy win right there. Yeah. But from the team standpoint, you can't overlook anybody, right? Because it's a week to week league. I mean, even the Phillip Rivers led Colts had the Seahawks on the ropes at the end there, and Seahawks prevailed, but it just goes to show you can't look at anything as easy in this league. You still got to go out and do your part. So feels like the offense definitely did that at times. The defense did feel a little shakier than maybe you would have wanted them to. But I also feel like the defense, the defensive performance is very week to week because it feels very much dependent on the matchup specifically too. Like I think the game plans for Robert Saleh is very much tailored to who they're going up against. And you could say that for, I guess, any unit, but I feel like for Saleh, it's even more so, especially given the circumstances of this season. When you don't have your Nick Bosa's and your Fred Warner, you have to kind of play in a safer way, I guess I could say. So yeah, I think, there's good performances that you see where they just look locked in, and there's days like yesterday where, maybe they missed some tackles, but we'll get into that a little bit more as the show goes on. But Weston, we do have some updates on the injury front, so let's discuss those really quick. It's a long list. It's not all terrible, okay? Half of it is actually pretty good, but we'll start with Ricky Pearsall, right? Who had a fine game yesterday. probably his breakout game since he came back from the PCL injury, right? The bad news is that he injured that PCL again, or at least irritated it. That was a word that was used. He also has a low ankle sprain. The ankle sprain happened earlier in the game. In fact, that was the one where he caught his first pass of the day and then went to the blue tent. That's when he hurt his ankle. He returned to the game, and then in the fourth quarter is when he hit that knee hard on the ground trying to make that catch, and it was a good catch, but unfortunately irritated the PCL. So he's dealing with knee and ankle injuries, and that clouds his status, of course, for Monday night. Kyle Shanahan said that, don't necessarily want to rule him out already, but, there's concern that he may not be able to go on Monday. So we'll have to keep tabs on Ricky Pearsall's status, but that's what it's looking like right now. Then Spencer Burford also, I guess, was dealing with knee and ankle injuries yesterday, but he checked out okay when they evaluated him today, and he's expected to practice this week. So that's a good thing. Jordan Elliott, who was a late addition to the game status report and ultimately ruled out just ahead of this game, he hurt his knee in warmups, I guess. He's expected to practice this week as well. So not serious, but it was just enough to keep him out of that game. Nick Martin, who suffered a concussion in week 13. This is before the bye week. He remains in concussion protocol. I'm hoping he's okay at this point. Any concussion is like a big deal, right? But for him to still be experiencing symptoms and still in the protocol, this long after, just hope he's doing all right, and thoughts and prayers for him. And hopefully he could come back soon. Then on the other hand, a few other guys who have been missing the last few weeks. Yetur Gross-Matos, who's still on IR. He is expected to return to practice this week, coming off of his knee injury. Sam Okweonu, with the ankle injury, expected to return to practice this week. Tatum Bethune also expected back this week in practice. And Eric Kendricks, who the 49ers signed to their practice squad, but he nicked his calf. He's expected to return to practice this week. That, I think, if they could get Bethune and or Eric Kendricks back this week, I think that'd be a good sign for the linebacker group, because I think when you do look at some of this like missed tackling issues and all that, I do think some of it stems from, hey, Curtis Robinson, maybe a bit of a drop off from Tatum Bethune, right? So hopefully we can get one or two of those guys, active for Monday night. And then the last update here is guy we hadn't heard of in a while, Jacob Cowing. His practice window is expected to be opened next week. So we'll see if he ends up getting some time on the field before the season is over. But I have to imagine opening up his window, the 49ers at least will get a look at him in practice before the season ends at the very least. But any takeaways from these slew of injury updates?
I think the slew is more positive than it is negative, just in terms of expectation around getting reinforcements. I mean, honestly, we talked about the defensive performance. I think Jordan Elliott being a game time scratch, essentially, right? Getting nicked up during warmups, that hurts. It's a body in the middle of that defensive line from a rotational perspective. Our YGM and Sammy O, like they're reinforcements. They're keep people fresh, keep them active. That's what this defense needs, right? Like it just needs bodies that can be out there, bodies that are fresh. They're not going to wow anybody at the end of the year, and they're going to be playing some really high-powered offensive teams coming up very soon. But their job is going to be, can you make a couple stops during the game? And then let's see if our offense can do what they did against Tennessee, where they basically scored on every single possession minus a fumble that gave up, but in which they were moving the ball. So it's going to be those things. But I think you get the reinforcements. Don't like to see Ricky. Like, I know the questions about being injury prone or whatever it might be. We watched all of those. And like you watched how he was awkwardly tackled, right? It wasn't a non-contact thing. It was like, damn, probably anybody's getting up limping from that. You know what I mean? Yep. And he still gutted it out, right? Came back, played a lot more of the game. Like you said, had one of the most productive games, his most productive since being back, if not the most productive of the season. And then unfortunate again, right? With another awkward tackle just coming down while you're making a play. So I think now it's time to get serious around Jacob Cowing. Like, you better open the window. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you might need to see what you really have, because now you're getting really thin at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, and if Ricky Pearsall is not going to play on Monday night, I do have to imagine that we do maybe see Jordan Watkins on the field, for that game, or active, right? I don't know if he's going to get any meaningful snaps, but I'd imagine he'd be active if Pearsall cannot go. But it was nice at the very least on Sunday to kind of see every wide receiver get on the field that was active for we saw Bourne, we saw DeMarcus Robinson all get targets in this one, in addition to, your main guys. It just really felt like an offense that was feeding everybody and could feed everybody because of just how they were moving the ball. Brock Purdy looking good, everyone contributing. Like, that's exactly what you want to see. If you're a 49er fan, right? And I think the offense, how it's kind of started to come together in the weeks after, Brock Purdy has come back from his toe injury, I think it just seems to look better each and every week, right? And I think that's what's going to kind of propel them into these next few games. Like, yes, the offense is going to have to carry the defense at times. We've been saying that all season, and now it feels like they're probably going to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
I'd feel confident about this offense being able to do that. And yes, Joel, the update on Ricky is that irritated PCL, low ankle sprain. There's some concern of his availability for Monday night, so we'll keep tabs on it. But Weston, let's get into better news, or just better topics here. Let's start nominating some 49K players of the week, because I have a feeling we have quite a few choices this week, and not to give too much away, but I have a feeling a lot of it will be on the offensive side, if not all of it. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Feeling's right. Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, you've missed the last few weeks. How about I let you start first?
All right. Glad. Trent Williams.
Yes.
I am beginning with Trent Williams. And I know, I think we just, for the years he's been here, just always say, oh, he's a Hall of Fame bound. He's always graded, by PFF as the top left tackle in the league. But we have not seen, in my opinion, I think this version of Trent Williams we've seen so far this year is arguably not the best version of Trent Williams that we've seen as a San Francisco 49er. He had a really clean game yesterday. I think he, one hurry or one pressure allowed through the game. But what stood out for me was, he's got 3 or 4 new highlights that you're putting into the Trent Williams highlight reel that he used to do and we used to see and talk about all the time. Just 10, 12 yards down the field, planting the linebacker on their back, driving them out of bounds, flashing across the middle of the screen, taking 2 guys with him, right? One arm over here, one arm over here. There's not a lot of sexy talk that goes along with complimenting the offensive line play. But I saw big, sexy Trent Williams out there, the one that we all fell in love with and want to play forever, and almost look like, well, damn. Like, there was a part of me throughout this entire year was like, this is it for Trent. Like, this is the last season. Like, why would he come back? Like, this doesn't look fun for him. Doesn't look like he's enjoying himself. Looks like he's laboring through the season. And even that is still better than every left tackle in the league, if we're being honest with each other. But, to me, yesterday, something clicked for him. Yesterday, right? It feels so long.
Yeah.
It was yesterday, right? I feel like it was 3 days ago. That's what the holiday season will do to you. But that was Trent Williams that we've seen since 21 when he came over, 2021 when he came over. Just the downfield, occupying space, moving really, really well, and just keeping a clean pocket for his quarterback. So I have to tip my hat to him on this one. I think it was Trent Williams' best game of the year.
I beg anyone who watches football games casually, and there's no, like, I'm not saying that like
Yep.
as a knock on anyone, because if I didn't do content creation, I'd watch casually as well. But if you watch casually, you don't always notice like everything the offensive line does. You notice when they do badly, but when they're doing really well, you don't notice them because their name's never called. If they get a sick block, you don't always notice those things. So I beg everyone to find some highlights. It was Trent Williams highlights from this particular game. And Brandon Thorne, if you guys have Twitter, Brandon Thorne on Twitter, who's, you know, noted offensive lineman guru, he put a great, you know, cut up of all of Trent's great plays from the game, from the film. And it's a masterclass. It's classic Trent Williams. You could not believe this guy's 37 years old, the way he's playing right now. And it is crazy to think about, Weston, because I agree. I think like to start the season, it was very slow. And you think to yourself, like, there's no way this guy is going to look better than this as the season goes on, because you get tired, right? Yeah. Like as the season goes on. But it's like, he found his rhythm. He found his footing. Like, I don't know. It just, he's in shape. he's in football shape. And clearly maybe the bye week did him some good because he looked fresh out there. And it's not just about, you know, what he's able to do against the average defensive lineman. He had some crazy blocks against Justin Simmons, who is one of the, if not the best defensive tackle in the league right now. So to see him hit him with a snatch move, get him on the ground, like chef's kiss. And, you know, honestly, week 13 was quite the marvel as well, seeing him go up against Myles Garrett, right? Like, just two of the best in the game. And again, Trent Williams, future Hall of Famer, no doubt about that, 37 years old, had his best blocking grade on PFF of the season, 95.6 overall, 95.1 run block grade, 87.5 pass block, only a lot of pressure, like you said. So just outstanding stuff from Trent. I'm really glad that you nominated him because I definitely had him on my short list as well. And very, very much deserving, even if, you know, you don't see highlight reels from offensive linemen, right? But I think Trent Williams is worthy of the recognition. So glad anytime we can include him.
I think this bodes well for the 49ers too, right? Like, is he playing his best ball down the stretch, right? This is where you want collectively to be playing your best ball. Does he look healthier than he's looked all season here down the stretch with arguably the three biggest games on your schedule happening in consecutive weeks, like coming up? And then, you know, like, can't help but wonder, like, what does that mean for next year? Like, people quit things when it becomes a chore. You know what I mean? But if you're out there having fun in your profession, you reconsider. Does that give you a little time next year to still like figure this out? We'd all agree 80% of Trent Williams is better than 100% of most left tackles in the National Football League. So like, there's a part of me that's like, okay, not that he's finding the fountain of youth, but is he finding his love for ball like at this point in the season? And what does that look like into the offseason and other things? You know, he's a family man and all this stuff that he's got going, like, needs something to entice you. So but most importantly, like, always want to be playing your best ball in the back half of the season. And clearly right now he is.
Yeah, he's got to feel real good about that right now. Yeah. He's in his bag for sure. All right, let me go with a guy we were just talking about prior. I'm just going to say Ricky Pearsall, you know, and I think it was a concerted effort by the 49ers to get him involved, and as they should, right? Like, since he had come back from his knee injury, it was just pretty quiet. And it wasn't for his lack of effort. Like, I feel like he was still getting open, but there were, you know, just maybe the chemistry between him and Brock Purdy needed to be reignited. I don't know, but it feels like during the bye week there was, you know, Kyle Shanahan said, let's get him involved. Let's get him going. And, you know, he had 6 catches in this one, 96 yards. 16-yard average per catch. And KP, who joins my show on my Friday previews on Niners Nation, he posted an article today, and he shared these statistics. So Ricky Pearsall had a 30% target share in this game. Again, just like concerted effort to get your wide receiver one, because that's what he is. Get your wide receiver one involved. Pearsall generated 9.1 receiving EPA, which was the 5th most in week 15 against all wide receivers. Also averaged 2.8 yards of separation on those targets on 13.3 air yards per target. So this is exactly what he was doing prior to getting hurt. Like, it's just the efficiency, the chunk yardage he can give you, the separation that he can give you, and the chemistry with Purdy and having the timing right on these routes. Really important, really evident in this game. So yeah, wanted to give Ricky Pearsall a shout. Hopefully he's not out for too long, if at all.
I think that's the bummer, right? That feels like that's everything with the 49ers. They won, but right, this happened, but is he going to get the opportunity to stack games? Remember, this is what Ricky did at the end of last year, right? Like when the season was out of reach, he just stacked games and built momentum, and you want that for him so bad because you can clearly see he's a first-round talent when he's out there running his routes, when the ball's in his hand. And you know what? We got this whole Ayuk drama, blah, 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 blah. I saw him do a lot of Ayuk things yesterday, right? That deep digs over the middle, dragging across the field, getting the ball in space, being able to move, big third down catch, falling to the ground, right? Slipping and still just body position. Seems like he can be a really special player if we can just keep him out of the blue tent, right? Like, I think that's priority one for Ricky. I think my most favorite thing about Ricky in this game was listening to Drew Brees call him,
"Oh, dude,
Pearsall, Ricky Pearsall," and I loved it. I was like, that's what I want his name to be. I was like, he's Pearsall in my house go forward. I just thought it was like almost added this like.
I hated it.
French smoothness to the. I think that's the French Quarter wearing off on Drew all those years down in New Orleans, but like this French smoothness to this guy's swag and play. But yeah, I like salivate over like thinking of getting Ricky for like 14 to 17 games in a season versus like these abbreviated glimpses that we get from him. But yeah, I mean, he balled in big moments, and that's what matters the most.
Yeah, he has the talent, and I think we really haven't been able to see him stack his games as much this season because of, the injury, and that PCL could, be something that kind of lingers. Mac Jones dealt with that as well, and it was always like he re-aggravated again, and is he going to be good for Sunday? So yeah, well, unfortunately, that's just what it is right now. And, you're getting the injury prone labels on him, and you just hate to see that because I think he's capable of being a special player, just needs to be available. What I want to see from Ricky Pearsall, not to, derail from player of the week, but I would like to see that maturity, and I get it. He's just a second-year player, but for him to mature as a receiver, look, you got the talent part down. Take care of your body, so you can stay out there for a full season, right? And you could live up to your full potential. So that's what I would like to see. I'm sure the 49ers would as well, especially with everything that's gone on with Brandon Ayuk, who is on the reserve list at this point, and all but assures that he will not be part of this team going into 2026. So yeah, I mean, with that, I guess I'll let you nominate the next guy, and I think I know where this is going because there's only a few more we could do, and I'll let you have it.
I appreciate it because I'm gonna lead it quoting somebody. It's the Jesus Christ lizard, is it not? It is Brock friggin' Purdy. I mean, 23 of 30, 295, just under 10 yards of completion, 3 touchdowns. Ran the ball for 44 yards, including his 26-yard scamper, as the term is that we love to use for Brock Purdy. That included a pump fake and some taunting with an immediate apology at the end, because that's just obviously who we didn't see the Dougie. We didn't get to see that. Or
I thought he did do a Dougie too.
I thought it was like when they were showing the clip, it was in the like warm-ups when he was just kind of like dancing
okay.
with the receivers a little bit, because you know how KB and crew get down, right? Like it's just always a dance-off out there. But yeah, the Jesus Christ Lizard, George Kittle, you are crazy. A godsend to everything that is the. You know, George Kittle is the man when like people who despise the 49ers that I've known forever are texting me and like, dude, I just love George Kittle. Like they should mic him up every game. He should be involved. But I mean, Brock he played clean. You saw what he is capable of. Again, one of the differences between him and Mac Jones, when a play breaks down, can he buy the extra time? And you see when he's buying the time, he's always head up, looking to throw the ball. What I've loved about Brock over the last, like, let's just say 2 weeks, is it feels like there's an intention about him of, I'm going to prolong this play, but I am okay with throwing it out and live to see another down versus it forcing it downfield. Now, the Brock Purdy errant throw, you're going to get one a game. Like every quarterback's going to give you one a game. Are they going to capitalize? Does it matter? Like, is it at a really crucial or critical moment in the game? But outside of the fumble, right? I mean, he's got to be his cleanest game of the year in terms of just yards, average, completion percentage, QBR, quarterback rating, definitely his most rushing yards for the year. Might even be the longest run of the 49ers.
It is. We confirmed in the comments earlier that is the longest run by any 49er player this year, that 26-yard scamper.
So there you go. The Jesus Christ Lizard strikes. Look, again, another one. Bodes well. A lot of questions, a lot of time off. Do we stay with Mac? Stacked performances. You can only play who's on your schedule, Steph. And every NFL player will tell you it's really hard to get wins in the National Football League, right? Like, it's just really hard. You can only play who's out in front of you. And to me, Brock Purdy and this offense did exactly what they should do to a 2-win team, right? Like they handled their end of the bargain without question. 37 points in the National Football League in a single game. That doesn't happen every single week, right? Just look good. Started with him, and it feels like he's getting what was best Brock. Best Brock was cocky Brock, right? Like, you know, all the nicknames that came with that across social media too. And I feel like, okay, let's see a little bit more of that. And another thing that I loved about it, and I'll reference Drew Brees again. We all have our opinions on Brock Purdy, right? Like he's like, feels like he's so radioactive, like for discussion and discourse. But when I'm listening to a Hall of Fame quarterback sit there and be very intentional and very complimentary of the way that this guy plays football, which is not too dissimilar from the way that Drew Brees played football. Okay. I just feel a little bit better about the situation, right? Like, I feel like, okay, it's there. Now it's up to Brock to connect the dots, right? Like, the talent's there, the mentality's there. Give me the complete performance. And I think this is as complete as a performance as that we've seen from number 13 so far.
Do you think Drew Brees maybe likes to talk up Brock Purdy because he knows he gets compared to himself?
Yeah, but like what I love about listening to like Brees and Brady, and I know they're not loved by a lot of people in the commentary, like even Kurt Warner's opinions, like these guys all did it at the highest level. They don't owe it to anybody to talk well about them. You know what I mean? Like they did it when 90% of the league's fans hated those players because they tormented them and they were constantly successful. So like, I know it's good optics to like be positive on television, but I also think Drew Brees is a very intelligent individual, right? There are ways to shit on somebody without just coming out and being as direct about it if he felt the need to do it. And I would say look, Drew Brees ain't nowhere near as mobile as Brock Purdy is, and he's got a little bit better arm. I would say size-wise, stature-wise, eerily similar. And just they play here. They play the game here, you know, and they're not the most athletic and most talented people in the world, but they are arguably very quick decision makers and wonderful at processing with the ball in their hands.
Yeah, I think what I've appreciated most about Brock Purdy these last 2 weeks is that it is reminiscent of the 2023 version of Brock Purdy, and that is Purdy at his best, where
For sure.
you do see, the smart process decision making, the processing, the timing of it all, knowing where guys are going to be, and when things go awry and you do have to extend plays, making that happen and creating things for your team with your legs. Um, Here are a couple. You listed a lot of great things, Wesson. I'm gonna just kind of break some of that down a little bit because we know of the 23 of 30, right? 295 yards. To break that down, on throws of 10 or more air yards, he was 8 of 12 for 152 yards and a touchdown. It's great.
Yeah.
And on plays where he had longer than 2.5 seconds to throw, or where you can look at those as him creating, usually that's when he was like rolling out or looking to scramble out but finding someone downfield. He was 17 of 23 for 235 yards, 3 touchdowns. So all 3 of his touchdowns came on plays longer than 2.5 seconds.
And
He's a creator. And one more.
look, I'm here for
Like,
it.
because I kind of called it in the preview show, right? The scampering. I did expect that Purdy would have a good day with his legs. So he had 7 scampers for 44 total rushing yards, including the 26-yard one where he got a little silly. And 3 of those 7 runs picked up first downs. So
Yeah. And this is the difference, right? And there should be, while he is still a young buck, right? Like this should be worked into the offense. The play call should be designed to get your quarterback on the move. So in case you can still move, even if it's 3 yards versus a sack, right? Like move the ball forward. And we talked about it all the time. Like the 49ers kryptonite has always been the mobile quarterback. And what is like, even Patrick Mahomes, and they're so great. They break your back on 3rd down when you do everything else right. But the quarterback, you want to take the will away from the defense that you're playing, do that, right? Just do that. Like, and there should be more of it. Kyle Shanahan's never been a read option guy. We ain't going there, right? Like we're not doing any sprint option right or left anytime soon. But there should be a greater emphasis on putting this quarterback on the move and changing the launch point of the throw, because you mentioned 2.5 seconds. Yeah, I'm 98% confident that 98% of those attempts were Brock creating more than the 2.5 seconds because there was a breakdown in protection, right? Or because that's what the NFL is. The quarterback shouldn't be holding the ball for 3 seconds. That means defensive line's not getting there, etc. But it is clearly a strength, clearly separates them. And yeah, he leads the league in scampers because nobody else tracks scampers but the 49er fan.
New QB stat column. We're not calling them rushes anymore because that's the thing. Like sometimes you could call them all scrambles, but sometimes they're always categorized as rushing attempts, but that doesn't take into account, for example, the quarterbacks who sometimes have designed runs. I know Purdy doesn't, but like designed runs versus scrambles, I see those as like 2 different things. Scampers is just such a great word to describe what I think Purdy does. He looks like he's scampering, like, I don't know, like, and how Kittle described it is so perfect because I'm pretty sure we've used that exact same analogy or comparison.
He's a water bug. He's just bing, 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 like across the top of the water, like, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
On his feet. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, the way he does it is just like, it's just like a gamer's mentality, right? Like, it's like, I'm getting that first down. I'm getting this extra yardage. My team needs it. I want it.
It's all will.
Yeah.
It is all will for Brock Purdy. All right. We got, I guess it's my turn. So I'll go. And this is my last one. But I got to go George Kittle, like the other guy in this entire great offensive performance and all the players that we've highlighted today. I mentioned the 30% target share for Ricky Pearsall. Well, Kittle had a 29% target share, so he was heavily involved as well. And what do we always say? When you involve George Kittle, he rewards you. You're going to feel great about it. I am so glad that Kyle Shanahan seems to get it now. Like, let's get this guy the ball because he's just so good with the ball in his hands. 8 catches, 88 yards. 78 of those came after the catch. Case in point, like, I mean, he creates things for himself. He's very agile. It just looked like the bye week did him good too, because he was moving real fresh out there and forcing missed tackles, picked up 5 first downs that matched his season high. So it was just a classic George Kittle performance where he can help you out in so many ways. And it's just great to see the 49ers, look to keep visiting that well, because it'll continue to do good things for you.
There's no reason why he shouldn't be your leading receiver every single week. Like,
right.
You can still find a way to run the football, or the run game looks very different for the 49ers this year, but they'd be very happy if you ask Kyle Shanahan, hey, we ran the ball 38 times for 130 yards. It was only 3.6 a carry. I don't give a shit. That sounds great, right? That sounds like a winning formula. I got to run the ball almost 40 times. Sounds like I'm controlling time of possession. Sounds like I'm getting positive yardage, right? Sounds like we probably found the end zone. You could still do all of that and still target George Kittle 8 to 10 times every game, because you're going to reap those rewards. And we just talked about like Brock Purdy breaking the will of defenses by picking up that third down on a scamper. Like George Kittle is going to break the will too, because you might hit him for 2 yards in the flat and turns it upfield. It might be 12, 13 yards, but he hit somebody along the way. He didn't go out of bounds. He bodied somebody. He stiff-armed somebody. And those are like deposits you make in the daily bank, right? Like during a game. And come the fourth quarter, you always see who made more deposits, which team, right? And like, George Kittle is the caliber of player, and Kyle Shanahan is the caliber of play caller, that even if they know you are going to him, you can still find a way to get the ball to him.
Yeah, and even if he just caught the ball, like George Kittle could still make a guy miss, like So yeah, that's the power of George.
Run over you, and he can pull away from you. He's still a 4-5 guy, right? Like, he's not, it looks different because he's big and strong moving down the field, but he's not unscampering himself. You know what I mean?
He looked nimble. He looked nimble out there yesterday. So. Love to see it. Weston, did you have anyone else you wanted to nominate this week?
No, I got a couple flowers.
Okay.
But those were spot on my 4. Trent, Ricky, Brock, Kittle. That's what the 4 I have.
A great quality list of players that we nominated this week for 49K Player of the Week. If you are joining us in the live chat today, make sure you drop in a vote for either Trent Williams, Ricky Pearsall, Brock Purdy, or George Kittle. We'll tally up the totals here in a bit. In the meantime, while you guys get your votes in, we're gonna give some flowers. Who do you want to give flowers to?
I'm stay on the offensive side of the ball. I'm gonna say Jawan Jennings. And the obvious is like, look, 2 touchdowns, right? I know the production wasn't massive in terms of volume of catches and volume of yards, but where I'm bringing this back to, he took a hit that hurt in those ribs that have been bothering him all year since he first came back after the contract negotiations and all that stuff. But I think this is all glorified with the Brandon Ayuk stuff going on right now. Is what I see from Jawan Jennings is, take the 49ers out of it, I just see a man who wants to compete, who thrives on the physicality of this wonderful sport of football. It's again another one where is imposing, right? For your run game with the ball in his hands. He's very hard to bring down when he goes up and makes these catches. Another one that is going to see a boatload more of targets, especially seeing how this Pearsall thing shakes out and has become. And I start to feel like the 49ers are going to be really glad that they went and match that asking price to get him on the field and keep him here with how everything else has shaken out. But you can't ignore the fact that the guy, 2 tutties, like, that's always going to have to get some recognition.
That's production.
Yeah.
That's production. Yeah. And, I wasn't thinking of giving him any flowers to anyone, but I do think, Jennings probably worthy of that. And, it would not shock me if the 49ers did sign him to a modest extension as long as it made sense, for the team. And I think at this point, I feel like Juwan Jennings would be willing to take whatever they offered. But we'll see. We'll see how that turns out, right? Obviously, a lot of changes to come probably in the wide receiver room for the 49ers in the offseason, but that's an offseason conversation. But that's a great call out that, Juwan Jennings hasn't pissed me off in many weeks now. And
Yep.
for that, I am grateful. He just looks refocused, and maybe he was starting to sense the whole riff with Brandon Ayuk, and he said, this is my chance to kind of shine again and show why I am valuable to this team. So good on him, for turning his season around and making improvements as the season has gone on, and looking like the guy who helped this team so much as he did, last year as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't have any. Was that the only flowers you wanted to give?
No, I have more, but it's two players together. It's the concept that I'm giving flowers for. And I'll be brief, I promise. So this is Malik Mustafa and Jair Brown. To me, I know the secondary still has some concerns. I honestly think our concerns are outside right now, which I would never have thought that coming into the season than it has been the safety position. This duo is becoming formidable. Now, the reason why this is flowers versus like 49K player of the week, especially for Malik Mustafa, is got to catch the football. Got to
both of them.
both of them in this game. I know Jair had 2 the other week, whatever. Like, they can't hit you in the numbers and you drop it because you look at your schedule, playoffs around the corner, and if you have aspirations being there, those change games, right? Like, especially when the offense might be humming a little bit and you give them the ball right back and you keep them right back on the field. That defense is tired. Your play caller's in their bag. Everybody's got some confidence. Yep. That's how blowouts happen, right? Like, that's how you truly separate. You don't worry about the Tennessee Titans making this little marginal comeback here in the fourth quarter that almost caught us off guard. But I will say I love this trio of Malik, Jair Brown, and Jason Pinnock. When they have 3 safeties on the field, I think it's servicing them very well. All 3 of them are pretty aggressive. Malik Mustafa is still a bullet to the ball, but I don't know. Catch the ball, but I see you, and I see you both stocking games right now. And again, another thing that just bodes well for the 49ers.
Yeah, I think the packages that they've kind of worked out as the season has gone on has been like, it feels like Salah's kind of figured out what he wants to do, what works, with the personnel that he has. And I agree, like that big nickel package, I think is one that works for them. And, I think the safety is obviously a big part of that. This is maybe a good segue into putting things on notice. Cause like there are some miscues in the secondary, and it's not specifically on the safeties, although yes, had they caught those interceptions, or what would have been an interception, certainly would have been nice. But I'm talking about a couple plays that stand out in my mind that I can only imagine, and based on what I've seen on Twitter from people much smarter than me, like the miscommunication issues in the secondary. Van Jefferson, here's another thing KP noted in his article, right? Van Jefferson hadn't had a reception over 23 yards all season. He was going to have 2 in this game had it not been for Cam Ward missing him on the second one. Gunnar Helm, the 35-yard touchdown, same concept the Browns used to score against the Niners as well. Like, to miss that twice and, in as many games as you've played lately, like, not good. Teams are just going to continue to do that on you until you figure it out. And again, I'm not pointing fingers to a specific player, but I think as a group, these miscues need to stop if, when playoffs roll around, you want to stay around, and
sure.
And same goes, just one more notice that I want to put on here, and anyone watching, please continue to vote in the live chat for 49K Player of the Week. But the other thing I want to put on notice is the rushing defense. Was not inspired by the rushing defense at all. You're playing against Tony Pollard, who has not been efficient all season. He averaged 7.4 yards per carry yesterday. That can't happen. You missed 11 tackles yesterday. That can't happen, especially coming off of bye week. You were playing the Titans. You know who you got coming up next? Colts and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
And then you got the Bears with their offense, right? So they have to clean some things up if they hope to have success in the playoffs. Like I do still think they'll make the playoffs, right? But I need to feel inspired and like they are. I need to take them seriously. I need to be able to look at them and say this is a serious playoff contending team when I see them in these games, in these next 2 games, right? Because these are playoff teams.
Yeah.
So it'll be a good test, I think, for this team. But those are the 2 things I think I'd put on notice this week.
Yeah, I agree with the missed tackling and the rush defense. Again, I think losing Jordan Elliott to start the game, right, before even words, that matters, right? Curtis Robinson versus Tatum Bethune, that matters, right? That's why I'm excited if Bethune can get out there and you can find a way to get Kendricks out there and maybe Les Gifford. Again, all bodes well, but this is what you get. I'm not making the excuse. This is just what you get when you get to the back half of your roster that is thrusted into every down duty. And the Titans knew it and they exploited it. Like they weren't shy about it. That was goal number 1 is just try to run the football, right? I think that's going to give us the best shot to stay on the field, keep their offense on the field, and that's how we're going to keep the game close. Their defense just couldn't make a stop, really, when it came down to it. But you agreed on all points, right? Like you want what travels in the playoffs, a run game and defense, right? And there are question marks for the 49ers on both of those items.
Yep. Time for Robert Saleh to string together some master classes in these next 2 games. But all right, we got some votes in. Weston, who would you like to vote for this week?
Jesus Christ Lizard.
That is my vote as well. So that makes him the week 15 49K player of the week, Brock Purdy, with his performance. And it was a good one. Keep it coming, please. Like this is the Brock we like to see. This is good Brock. Stick around for a while because we're gonna need you into this next stretch. So that's the other thing too. Like it's good timing for him to like look this way.
Yeah, for sure. Again, the goal it's never the best team that wins the Super Bowl, the World Series, whatever it is, right? It's the hottest team that going into that stretch. And in the NFL, you tend to be as hot as your quarterback, right? So you ideally want your quarterback playing their best game. And I'll end by saying, somebody please create a Jesus Christ Lizard t-shirt, mail it to the 49ers headquarters so I can see George Kittle wearing it, being videoed walking into Lucas Oil Stadium on Monday night as part of the pregame ritual. It would be like poetry to see that come to fruition.
Why do I feel like George Kittle himself would make Brock a t-shirt?
He had it made before he made the Jesus Christ Lizard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was in his closet already.
Yeah,
He's just
exactly.
waiting. God. Love this team. Love when the 49ers win as well. What a great game to have you back for, Weston. Glad you're back. And, let's do it again next week, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Shout out to everyone that tuned in. Make sure you guys like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Hit that notification bell so you know when I go live, not just on my channel, but Weston's as well. And audio listeners, make sure you leave a rating, leave a review. Really helps me out. But for now, have a good rest of your Monday, folks. Peace.